right, we're going to do this again. Hey everyone, it's Reed Mihalko from readaboutsex.com. We are a week away from Sex Geek Summer Camp, my business retreat for sex educators. And one of our amazing sponsors is Good Clean Love. And I've got Wendy, the company president, waiting, the creator, waiting. And Instagram is just not wanting to let me invite her. It's just not coming up. And I don't understand why. Let me see. So I'm jumping around trying to figure this out, folks. We're having technical difficulties, as is the way of technology. I'm jumping to the computer to see if I'm doing something wrong here. But we've got Sex Geek Summer Camp coming up in a week. It's a 5-day business retreat. We've got a slip and slide. It's actually a summer camp business retreat for sex educators and sex positive professionals. And we are going to have a blast. We've got over 60 campers coming from all over the country and the world. And I don't know what's going on and why things aren't working. Okay, so Good Clean Love is joined. Hi, Wendy. I see you. I'm trying to invite you. And then view request. And then go live. Figured it out. Here we go. Fingers crossed.
Okay, here we are. Yay, we did
Wendy,
it.
we did it.
Yay. Yeah, I think you have to join and then, you start it and then I request to join or something.
There's a way to invite, but I was typing in your Instagram handle and it wasn't popping up because usually I can invite you right away. But whatever it is, everyone, Wendy,
here we are,
the creator of this amazing lube, and Wendy,
our wash actually, but also amazing wash. And hygiene is a high priority when it comes to good sex. So there's the liquid, that's the hybrid.
Okay.
And we also sent you the liquid, I think, in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are our new baby lubes that are just born. They just got launched. So we're very excited about both of them.
This is amazing. So everyone, I'm going to introduce you real quick, Wendy. So Wendy is a nerd and a really brilliant scientist-minded person who ended up creating these amazing lubes. And I love talking to Wendy. And I remember the first conversation that we had at one of the, sex expos for toys and lubricants and everything. And I was so moved by the fact that you created a company, which in and of itself is hard enough to do, but you take a lot of your money and fund actual research to create better lubes. And so if you want to tell a little bit of your origin story.
Sure. So anyway, I started making lubricants, because I didn't want to get divorced, because I grew up in a divorce. And really, I think my life work was always about what happens for people when they stay and they create sustainable, loving families. And what work is that? Because I didn't get to know that work as a child, but I was actually super clear that other people were doing it and I wasn't. And so I think I spent a lot of my adult life trying to figure out what that was. And some things I figured out and other things I'm as lost as I've ever been. But at about 38, after I had 4 kids, sex was very painful for me. And the sex was always the glue in my marriage. So I was really lucky that way. But I really didn't want to be a single mother of 4 kids. So I became really devoted to trying to figure out what what makes a product work and not be painful, because all the products doctors gave me, everything I could buy, gave me really terrible reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And like most women that have that experience, they think it's about them and not the product they're using. And so that's very common, right? When women have problems, that they believe that it's about them personally instead of believing that it's about the environment they might be in.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I spent a lot of time trying to come up with solutions, and that was really literally how Good Clean Love was born. Initially, we had, oil products that I could make myself at home,
Mm-hmm.
and we call those our aphrodisiac line. Still really the smallest number of products we sell, but the people who love those products are dependent on them the way I am. Actually, I have them in the closet here, so I can just bring them out and show them to you. But yeah, we have 4 flavors. That this was at the very beginning. We started these: Origins, Caribbean Rose, and actually our newest. There's also an Indian spice. Our newest one is Cardamom Gold, which is a CBD product.
Oh.
CBD pleasure serum coming out in July. So
Wow.
we've been working like really to try to keep helping people not only have healthier sex, meaning that it doesn't create any bad biochemical aftermath,
Mm-hmm.
but also that it's more pleasurable and that we spend more time making love to people that we love, right? So we're trying to work across all those spaces, and really help people to understand how lubricant, because I think it's a really misunderstood category of product, partly because so many lubricants on the market are in fact very harmful to
Mm-hmm.
women's biomes, vaginal biomes, but also because they're so ineffective, right? Like as soon as you put on propylene glycol, you kind of want to take it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't really encourage you to spend more time making love, so I think people use those products for a long time, and we know that the repurchase rate of the majority of lubricants is like 1.2%, right?
Oh.
People don't go back and buy them again,
Oh.
whereas ours, when people find ours, it's like 30%. So when you find what you're looking for, you always go back and buy those products, right? But it's hard to find good products in a sea of a lot of bad products.
Uh-huh. Well, so thank you for putting in the effort to try to figure out like what actually works for people's bodies. And like for me as a sex educator, something that's really interesting is in talking to people like what you already said, like they don't realize that the lack of pleasure could be due to the fact that they're using products that aren't working well for their bodies. And then if you get a rash or soreness or you have an allergic
Yeah.
reaction, then you don't, like, why would you look
You
forward
wouldn't
to
go back. You wouldn't go back.
yeah.
So I think that the kinds of products that are generally in the category are actually killing the category over time, right?
Yeah.
That's why we see a lot of the legacy brands like the KY and the Astroglides really diminishing in growth, while the growth of the category is coming from companies like Good Clean Love. And I'm proud to say that we're the leader in that category in terms of bringing more customers into thinking about this kind of sexual health. So yeah, so we're trying,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember my mom in her drawer by the bedside, like it was a thing of Vaseline.
yeah,
Like,
that's not great. Petroleum. Yeah.
yeah. And so now we have so many. I mean, you've been working on creating all these things. I'm excited to try the hybrid because I didn't know you came out with the hybrid, so that's exciting.
I know, and that hybrid actually was a little bit like changing religions, because historically I've not been a big fan of dimethicone, but we were able to develop. I mean, here's the thing: there's a lot of people who are very dedicated to dimethicone, and the reason is because when you're doing anal play,
Okay.
water-based lubricants usually are not sufficient,
Yeah.
or
They.
you're reapplying because
Okay.
no moisture in the rectal cavity. And so that makes sense that people would go to a dimethicone lube for that, and all kinds of fluid sexual play, right? But what we were able to do with that particular hybrid is use such a small percentage of dimethicone, because
Mm-hmm.
little goes a long way, so that it's still isoosmotic, which means that it doesn't disrupt the moisture in your vaginal biome.
Yeah.
And so we were able to keep all of the qualities of our biomatch sort of formulations in with using that dimethicone ingredient, which took a long time for me to figure out, honestly.
So for everyone who's watching, if you're like, these are a lot of big words that Wendy's throwing around, this is why I love Wendy, because you can actually have a conversation about like what's actually in things and how it impacts bodies. Like the osmolality, if I'm
Yeah,
pronouncing it, which is a great Scrabble word. These things, like, once
a word.
you feel intimidating if you're hearing it for the
Yeah,
first.
so let me just say what that is,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And so everybody that graduated and went to chemistry in high school will remember that they learned about osmosis. And
Mm-hmm.
so osmosis is how our cells are designed to balance what's outside and what's inside our cells.
Yeah.
And so we know that our cells, like our body, is made up of water, right? Mostly water, and as is the cell body. So what you want to always, especially in a vaginal biome, is to have products that match or are isoosmotic to the cell, to what the cells are accustomed to. So like vaginal fluids, sperm, right? All of those things are isoosmotic, which is to say that the stability of the vaginal epithelium, that's the skin that covers the vaginal lining, can stay intact.
Yep.
But use ingredients like, I'll just pick out a glycol, like propylene glycol, which is a very common ingredient in many lubricants. That is so chemically heavy that what it does is it pulls all the moisture out of your cells in your vaginal epithelium. So you're shedding all this water and actually essentially shedding the top layer of the epithelium in less than 4 hours, honestly, with the use of one lubricant. And
Wow.
basically, that completely throws off the whole balance party, right? So now you've got a party of a lot of bad bacteria that are have pushed your pH up, and
Uh,
that bad bacteria really likes high pH. So it all kind of works together. And there's a lot of things that do this, right? Natural things like having sex, right? Because sperm has a really high pH. So if you're not using a condom and you introduce sperm into the vaginal
yeah.
canal, you're not trying to get pregnant, that might also push your pH up. When you bleed monthly, blood also has a high pH. That will push your pH up. You know, wearing tight yoga pants for a long time could actually push your pH up. It's a dynamic system. A lot of times when I try to explain vaginal health to people,
Mhm.
I think about their gut health, because just in the same way when you go to a country fair, or I don't know, some fair, and you eat like corn dogs and cotton
Yeah.
candy and
Love fried
all
food.
that, then you probably might feel sick after that,
Mm.
right? And so what you want to do is then, after you had that nice time at the fair, you really want to be careful about what you eat for a few days so your gut can balance itself. What we, people who never really eat nutritious foods that they can digest also have a lot of immune function issues frequently, right?
Mhm.
They get colds a lot, much more susceptible to COVID, as an example, right? Like our gut biome actually is what keeps our whole immune system functioning.
Mhm.
So it turns out now we understand that our vaginal biome is not only connected to our gut, but also has a lot to do with our ongoing health, right? So women who have not just pain with sex, which is crazy uncommon, but
Mhm.
also just pain, you know, dryness or discomfort or odor that they know doesn't normally smell like them. Those are all signals that their biome is telling them that there's too many bad bacteria there and not enough healthy bacteria.
That has me ask that. So a nerdy question that you might have, or at least can point people in the right direction. So for trans folk, or even non-trans folk who are on testosterone, because I know like a lot of people are doing certain kinds of hormone therapy and whatnot, and a lot of my trans friends are on testosterone. Do you know
Yeah, that's it. So it's yeah, so it's interesting. Like I told you, all that work I was doing out of my computer, we actually turned into a company. It's called Vaginal Biome Science. We have a chief scientist. It's so exciting. Apparently, she can get done in weeks what took me years. So always good to have the right person for the right job. She's really amazing. And so we've launched all these clinical trials. One of them is with trans women who have neovaginas after gender confirmation surgery. You know, there's a lot of standards of care that have not been established in that medical component yet, but this woman is kind of a specialist and she has a lot of success rates. And so we're studying whether we can, with the use of our products, the wash that you showed at the beginning, a vaginal gel that we have Restore, and also a probiotic, which is a native probiotic, whether we can help to establish a healthy vaginal biome in a neovagina.
Wow.
Men, women, or let me just say, trans women, so men who become women, often do not do gender confirmation surgeries. Sometimes they do, but they're taking a lot of hormones, like you said, testosterone specifically. And that does seem to have, I've talked to, there's a lot of that science going on at UCLA where we're running another study on oncology. But he does work with a lot of those patients, and it does really have a significant impact, all that testosterone, on vaginal function. It actually is one of the things that provokes many of those people to have a full hysterectomy, because organs are for sure impacted by that surgery and the hormone.
Men who have vulvas and are on testosterone, there's a whole thing going on ecosystem wise.
And
And
we do believe that
women who've had surgery, there's a whole biome.
Well, because I mean, I just want to say, as a woman who's menopausal, if I only had appreciated my hormones more when I had them, you know, I do replacement therapies, you know, because I would basically be brain dead if I didn't. I mean, it doesn't affect everybody the same, but I do want to say that that the hormones that you're taking medically to produce, you know, either a trans function or sometimes the way I use it just to keep my intact. That has, I mean, hormones basically, a doctor once said to me, we're nothing but a bag of hormones, right? And they run how our heart works, how our brains work, not only how our reproductive organs work or don't work. Really, our whole body is dependent on our hormones in massive ways that most of us don't understand. So we're actually looking at doing a study with trans women who are taking a lot of testosterone. Would that be trans men? Sorry. Yeah, trans men. But who have vaginas is what I'm saying.
Or vulva owners who are taking testosterone.
Right. So to see if our protocol could help them keep a balance vaginally in spite of the testosterone use. So we're trying to get a clearance for that at a big university right now.
So one of the things I'll also, because we're talking a lot about
science, a lot of science.
So my public service announcement for all the penis owners out there who are like, well, yeah, lube's lube.
No.
If you sleep with vulvas, I hope you're taking away from what we're talking about here with Wendy is like in the same way that you would like to have really good things, like if you were going to put on a meal and cook really good food for your friends and your lovers, do the homework and get good lube for your lovers. Have that on hand because you're actually
very sexy.
Their biome or with their
yeah, their biome. So
their biome.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows gut biome, but the truth is there's also a vaginal biome, just like there's an oral biome. There's a sinus biome, right? Like our whole body is literally one long biome, but the one that we've really learned about is the gut. And
Yeah.
now we're starting to see, I mean, there's a lot of very interesting work being published about the oral biome and the degree of like decay that so many people have in their mouths. And many people don't know this, but that is a really high precursor to heart disease. So,
Okay. I didn't know that.
then if your mouth
Oh,
is,
you glitched out for a second, Wendy. I see a little spinning circle.
can you
Um,
now?
yep, you're back now. Yep, you're
Okay.
back. Great.
Sorry, I'm in Hawaii right now, Reed.
Yep. Well, it's okay. You've gotten to download a lot of the nerdery that I'm always so excited to talk to you about, Wendy. And I'll take this moment to let people know Wendy's company, Good Clean Love, is a proud sponsor of this year's Sex Geek Summer Camp, which we're so excited to be having in person this year. Now, you know, because the last couple of years we weren't able to have camp in person because of the pandemic. If you're interested, if you are under the umbrella of a sex positive entrepreneur or a sex positive professional, like if you deal with intimacy, if you're a sex toy blogger, if you're a sex educator, if you're a burlesque dancer, or anyone, if you help people, if you're a sex therapist, if you work for Planned Parenthood and you want to come nerd out with us and also have some fun, if you want to come to camp, my link is in my bio, or you can go to sexgeeksummercamp.com and you can find out if camp is going to be the right fit for you. It is a focused and fun business retreat. So we're nerding out on better business practices, how to reach more people, how to make more of a living. We talk about career and career development and networking. And we have a lot of amazing sex educators and sex positive professionals from all over the world. We've got a bunch of people from the US, a bunch of people coming from Canada. We've even got one person coming from Amsterdam. So somebody's flying across the ocean to come be with us. And we also have a 350-foot slip and slide. And there is Wendy. And I think Wendy's going to come back. Let's see. Fingers crossed. There you are.
Okay, here I am back again.
Yeah.
Sorry about
So don't, no, Wendy, that was wonderful. Is
that.
there
I
like
appreciate everything you said. And can I just say what a big believer I am in the Reed Sex Camp? It's like a geek sex camp.
Yeah.
And you know, we've supported the camp for many years actually.
Yeah.
And what I want to say is that I'm always so inspired by what I hear from the campers, not only about what they learn about vaginal health and all the things that I love to talk about, but also about how to sort of make a positive impact and difference in this sex education field that they learn from you. So if you're interested in this work at all, Reed is a teacher that I would entrust even my children to. So that's a big thing.
You're gonna make me cry, Wendy.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here, folks. I guess I'm opening up a little summer camp for your kids. Send them up anytime. I know.
Not little kids, but and they're not going to do that. But I'm just saying that, you know, I'm pretty, I feel like I pay a lot of attention to who I trust with sex education, because as we both know, that can be really a wide range of things, some safe, not safe. And so I feel like the kind of education that you're giving, really, no matter where people come on the fluid sexual spectrum of gender and sort of understanding what pleasure means, you know, they walk away with really understanding how can they do this in a way that nobody will be harmed, right? Like that's the most critical piece.
Yeah, and there's so much shame and stigma, and people have all the feelings. And for us, as you know, the sex educators and sex positive professionals, or if somebody's out there who's looking to start their own company and it has to do with sex positivity, like we have our own shames and insecurities that come and tackle us. And then there's also like how how the internet shames people who talk about sex. So thank you, Wendy, because I try to bring the
I
light
think
to
it's
it
important,
and sharing.
it's like, I think that it's really important to say out loud and to repeat that as far as we believe we've come in all of this conversation, truthfully, I hear from people every day that still can't have real conversations about their intimate life. And so there's a way that like sex has become this, especially pornography has taken up so much space in so many people's lives, which, I mean, I think there's good pornography and bad pornography, that I'm not going to get into that.
Yep.
But I want to say that I think it's the volume of it speaks to the need, which is not being met interpersonally.
Mm,
And I really think that the kind of sex that people really long to have is available with good education and good products, right?
yeah.
But you know, it's astonishing to me when I do these and I speak to young women, just like basic things about how to have satisfying sex. Like for instance, you know, I'll have people email me and say, well, you know, your lubricant didn't work. And I'll say, well, do you want to unpack that for a minute?
Mm,
And, you know, if you're having 5 minutes of sex and you think you can just put on a little lube, even a good lube, and just have penetration, yeah, that is not going to do it, right? So I have the, you know, the multiple courses of orgasm, and the first course of the clitoral orgasm. You know, I love your idea about food, and I've written columns actually about sex as a 3-course meal,
mm,
right? So, you know, and so the idea that you would have somebody penetrate you before you've been stimulated clitorally is pretty much promising yourself some degree of pain,
yeah.
even with a good lubricant, because your body is not ready to receive any kind of penetrative sex. But people have penetrative sex frequently without really being aroused.
Yeah. So
And
what I'm hearing is do not serve penetration as the appetizer.
exactly,
It
thank you.
comes later in the meal, and it might
Yeah.
need like a 7-course meal. You might want to get fancy with
And
every.
you know, and that's why we make all this fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because the idea is that the more different kinds of products you try, like these love oils I was showing you, this is my new favorite, the cardamom gold. It's like it goes from your nose into your limbic brain via your olfactory bulb, and is like waking up, because your olfactory bulb is your limbic brain, and that's where memory, sexuality, and emotion wakes up. So
Uh,
when you give that part of your brain interesting information, it
yeah.
says, "Oh, that's right. I like sex. Oh,
Yeah.
right. This scent is reminding me how great my sex was last time." Right.
Yeah.
And also, because you smell different all over your body when you're making love, the love oil changes scent when it's on your genitals, when it's on your chest, when it's on your neck. And all that time, you're providing this really critical data so that you can have this high level of arousal, which
Mm-hmm.
will allow you to have a clitoral orgasm when, you know, whether that's mutual masturbation or however that is for you, right? Everybody should have enough time for everybody to find their pleasure. And then when you can't stand it anymore and you reach for a bottle of really good lubricant,
Mm-hmm.
when the lubricant can really do its job, right? There you go. And, you know, and I think that this is even true about anal play,
Yep.
right? Like, you know, I think you wouldn't want to have anal play before you're aroused either.
When I was just at a retreat for the Bonobo Network, and they're a big play party centered community, and I gave a talk on oral sex, and one of the things that we were talking about when we're talking about penetration, because we're, you know, you can use penetration with your fingers and stuff, is I was telling people, like, listen, like, as a man who likes butt play, what was a life-changing thing for me was when I had the experience of my ass wanting penetration.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very different.
yeah, and what I lovingly call hungry hole. But like, for a lot of straight men who don't ever have their
Yeah,
butts played with, they never get to have the aha moment of, oh, what's it like to have your body want something
Well,
inside?
let's talk about that because, and I'm just going to even stay away from any titles of straight, gay, whatever, like just human beings that are sexual,
Yep.
right? Just being in a human body, however you think of that body and whatever it is that you're attracted to,
Mm-hmm.
it's like what has to happen first is that you have to like both surrender your conscious brain of how it's going to be, right? Like there's a big surrender element that you can just really experience your sensations, right? Whether it's scent, I think scent is a primal one and really important.
Mm-hmm.
But and sense, your sense of smell when it's combined with touch, any body part slippery, way sexier than that same body part dry,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, so you're combining these sensations,
Uh,
and genitally, that's like really exciting because the genital tissue really changes when that body part is slippery and moist. And all of those things kind of are providing input to your brain so that you can not be judging yourself, wondering how does my body look,
mm-hmm.
or of all, not worried about whether you can perform.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get scared whether you can get to the end or whatever that means to you, you've stopped feeling what it is to be a sexual human being. And the only way that you can have really great orgasm, and believe me, I am a big fan of big orgasm, so that has kept me in this business for a long time. But but I can't be thinking anything else about my broken dryer or fear of am I okay how I look, or
Yeah.
do, or anything, and have that experience, right? Like your brain cannot compute
Yeah.
any level of anxiety about anything, especially performance and pleasure,
Yeah.
right? Like weirdly our brain can only do one or the other of those.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to actually teach yourself. I think meditation is a good way to be able to learn to watch your mind,
Yeah.
right? So that you can
Yeah.
see where you're going off. You never do meditation wrong, but if you just watch yourself going off, then you get a great insight into what might be preventing you from pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the other thing, I'll loop it back around to when you were talking about, the ecosystems and the biome is it would also be hard to have great sex and a great orgasm if you know that the lube you're using is going to have your
Get BV.
vagina feel horrible, 2 days. Um,
Yeah.
and so, like, again,
that,
like,
that was a buzzkill for me, right? Like the doctors used to give me these lubes, and like I said, I didn't want to get divorced, so I wanted to keep having sex. And so I've tried all the lubes that are out there, and many would make me go crying to a bathtub for 2 or 3 hours after. So I mean, I don't think I'm alone. I've heard these stories, but even if you don't know that you're being harmed, just trust me that your biome is being harmed.
mm-hmm.
And and like that's the other thing, like when you think about all the kinds of products that people promote for sex, many of them that are really warming, like capsaicin, I mean that's pepper, I just want
Yeah.
to say. And you don't need to make it hot. That happens when blood is flowing there,
Yeah.
right? As soon as your body wakes up, it's really hot, and a little bit of cool lube feels really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think people rely on warming gels and things that are actually extremely toxic and maybe even slightly dangerous to the genital tissue when they can't feel,
Yeah.
right? Like when they can't feel, they're like, oh, okay, I'll put this burning stuff on and then penetration is better, but actually it's even worse.
Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah.
So
Well, and also like if you want tingling on your genitals, like you can practice a little light spanking. There's a bunch of other things we can do to.
well, or oral sex is really great for that too, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, this is where love oil really kind of is my savior, because I really can't do oral sex without it myself. But for some people, that's not the case. But there's a lot of things, our fingers, our mouth, right? Like, and, all kinds of spanking and other behaviors that, kind of wake things up.
Yep.
And, we're ready to go if we can pay attention to how we feel.
Yeah.
But the truth is that I think people are really afraid to feel in a general way now. And that definitely does affect the fact that they can't stay in their bodies.
Well,
And
and
makes
that
it hard to have an orgasm.
that fear of feeling, like when you do start to like pay attention to your body, it doesn't mean you know the right next answers, right? Like, I'm paying attention to my body. I know that this lube is making me feel off, but that doesn't mean you know what lube to go for, right? Like, you don't know the fix to it sometimes too. And I think we just get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
We
Well,
try.
it's true. Like one time I bought this mayonnaise, which has nothing to do with anything. And it was some kind of organic-ish, but it didn't taste anything like mayonnaise.
Mhm.
And so I thought I threw that away. And then I would never have gone back to that category, because once you are really disappointed
Yep.
by, say, a mayonnaise, you're like, all right, never mind. Right.
Yep.
Well, in the end, I went back to my old brand of mayonnaise, and it wasn't as sexy, but it tasted like mayonnaise. But I think it's true that when you're looking for things, especially intimate products,
Uh-huh.
like it's already a place where people are taking a lot of risks with
Mhm.
their erotic selves. Sometimes, hopefully, they're taking them with people that they feel that they can really trust. But
Mhm.
many people, and we've had long talks about this, Reed, you and I, about the ways that people have been hurt. And they sustain these erotic injuries,
Mhm.
especially, you think about young. I mean, it just happens a lot when you're young, right? Like many times we combine alcohol and drugs with our erotic adventures, and that doesn't always make for a safe outcome. But
Mhm.
then actually, and I know that we're doing research on this in Nebraska right now, of all places. They actually have a woman who leads this work, is really unbelievable. Has like a Google page that reads like a tome. But she has the only lab in the country that measures people's arousal like a machine can. So she knows, of course, that there's many people who have orgasms that can't identify them as orgasms, as well as the reverse, people who say they're having an orgasm, but they're not. And what's most jarring for me is that 50% of the women that come in for our study and other studies have had sexual abuse,
Mhm.
which is to say that their vagina, right, their vaginal biome has recorded a lack of safety, which actually then prevents women from lubricating
Yeah.
themselves and from actually experiencing pleasure, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just that whole body keeps the score. Our vaginas do too.
Mhm. Thank you.
So yeah.
And thank you for all the research and the ways that you stay connected to what we're learning, and how you pour that back into your company, and how you put that back out into the world. I know you're super busy, and did you tell me that you're in Hawaii right now?
Yeah, I get to work here a couple. Yeah. So,
That's
and
great. Well,
getting old, so I have to decide where I want more weeks of my life. And Hawaii has definitely always been that place. So, I still work a lot of hours here. But, Reed, I just want to say one other thing for all the people who are watching, which is that, for literally decades now, women's health has not really gotten the attention that it needs, both sexual health and just women's health. And I feel really dedicated. Literally 4% of all of the research dollars that we spend on medicine goes to women's medicine. It's fucking 2022. So
wow.
like I'm over it. And I have a little bit of life force left. And I'm really, really trying to make some differences, not just that people have better sex, but that they feel better in their body and that they can have a voice for when they know something's off, even if doctors will tell them, oh no, you're fine, which doctors said to me for years, by the way. And it's like, no, we need so much more like the most complex system in the body is a woman's reproductive system, you know? So like, let's honor that and let's come up with real solutions, which I really believe that Good Clean Love, in addition to all of our amazing love products, we also have a set of products that really helps women to restabilize their vaginal biome. And
Mm-hmm.
that's work that I'm really jazzed about in my last 5-10 years of career here.
Well, I think in 5-10 years you'll be retiring, and
I
maybe
hope.
well,
We'll see.
you're gonna live longer than that. I know that, and I don't even know what retirement looks like for you
Yeah,
because
I
I
it
don't know.
was bad actually. Like, no, there's no reason to like put this girl in front of Sudoku puzzle. So
Wendy, where can people find if they want?
so that product, the hybrid, is going to be in Walgreens soon. But it's on our website, and the liquid product is in select Targets.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the wash you have to buy on Amazon or on our website.
Mm-hmm.
We have small placements for that, but I don't know why I can't get that wash and wipes to really travel in stores yet, but we're still working on it. But you know, our website's pretty friendly.
Good
There's a lot
love,
of information, so you can get everything you need there. And we'll come up with a code, Reed, that you can put up on the Instagram
Okay,
that people can get a discount that are watching.
that'll be amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, and again, like, thank you
Let's
for
call the code. Let's call it Sex Geek 22.
Sex
So
Geek.
people will, yeah, and when we hang up, I'll make sure I get that put up for people on the. They'll get a 22% discount for Sex Geek 22.
That's
There you go.
wonderful. Thank
Yeah,
you so much, Wendy.
yeah, it's a
Everyone,
pleasure.
share this video with people who you think might benefit from the knowledge. Wendy, as always, a pleasure to nerd out with you.
So nice to talk to you.
And I cannot wait to give all the campers lots of great lube and hear all the hear about all the triumphs and pleasure that they get to have.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thanks for everything you do, Reed. And I really was serious. Like, you know, you are really uplifting this category of education, and I'm grateful for your sustained effort over time and just your courage to like do the real work. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone, go check out goodcleanlove.com and we'll see y'all later.
Okay,
Bye.
take care. Bye.